Captain Reyna sat in her command chair, staring at the dark space through the large window. Her ship, the Star Hunter, floated quietly near the edge of known space. It was supposed to be a calm mission, just a long-range scan patrol. Nothing exciting ever happened here. But today, something had changed. The message came suddenly. A deep, strange signal touched their systems. It wasn't from any known species. It wasn't a regular distress call. It didn't follow any pattern used in the galaxy. The sound was slow, cold, and echoed like a whisper inside metal walls. Some of her crew said it gave them chills. Reyna stood up and walked over to the communication station. "Play it again," she said. The sound filled the room. A broken voice, heavy static, and one clear word: help. Her team looked at each other, confused. Lieutenant Karim frowned. That sounded human. Reyna nodded slowly. It did, but that's impossible. Lieutenant Serena, the ship's science officer, turned to the map on the screen. The signal is coming from Sector X-47, a planet called Neroth. The room went silent. Everyone knew the name. Neroth, a death world. Even the strongest alien races never went near it. The planet was cursed, filled with violent storms, poisonous air, and deadly life forms. Old alien logs warned about Neroth like it was a ghost story, a place that swallowed entire ships. Some said nothing lived there. Others believed something terrible did. "No ship has returned from there," Karim said quietly. Reyna walked back to her seat and stared at the signal map. "Then why is there a human voice asking for help?" Nobody answered. The silence inside the ship felt heavier now. Reyna made her decision. "We're going," she said. The crew didn't argue. They trusted her. Reyna was known for being calm, brave, and smart in dangerous situations. Still, as the ship turned toward the death world, everyone felt the cold hand of fear touch their hearts. It took nearly 2 days to reach the edge of Neroth's system. The planet looked like a ball of smoke and fire. Dark clouds moved across its surface like waves, and lightning lit up its skies every few seconds. Strange shapes could be seen moving through the mist, but the sensors couldn't explain what they were. Life signs were there, but not normal ones. Something was alive down there, and it was big. Reyna called a meeting in the control room. She stood in front of her small team. 6 of the best people Earth had trained. Soldiers, scientists, engineers, all ready to face danger. But even they looked nervous now. "We're going down," she told them. "We'll take the landing shuttle. Small and fast. We only take what we need." The signal came from inside a ruined structure, 50 miles from the nearest mountain ridge. "We land, we check, we get out." Serena raised her hand. "Captain, the air isn't safe, and the storms change fast. We might get stuck." Reyna gave a small smile. "That's why we bring the best pilot in the galaxy." Everyone turned to Jay, the quiet pilot who had flown through asteroid storms like a breeze. He gave a thumbs up without looking up from his screen. Reyna looked at each of them. "We don't know what's down there, but someone or something sent a message in human language. That means it's our responsibility." An hour later, the shuttle broke through the upper clouds of Neroth. The ship shook as wild winds hit them from every side. Lightning flashed past their windows. Thick fog made it hard to see, but Jay kept the shuttle steady, guiding it through the storm like a knife through butter. They landed in a flat area filled with cracked stone and broken metal. The ruins looked ancient. Walls had fallen, and strange alien symbols were carved into the stone. Vines covered everything, and the air smelled like burning oil. The team stepped out, wearing sealed suits to survive the toxic air. The ground crunched under their boots. In the distance, something howled. Not an animal, not a machine. It sounded like a dying scream mixed with a machine's cry. Karim held up his scanner. "The signal came from there," he said, pointing toward a large half-buried building. They moved in silence. Every shadow looked dangerous. Every sound made them jump. They'd reached the entrance, a large metal door, half open, crushed by fallen rocks. Inside, it was dark and cold. Their helmet lights lit the hallway. Old wires hung from the ceiling. The walls had deep scratches, like something with claws had passed through. A strange black liquid dripped from a pipe and hissed when it touched the floor. Serena checked her scanner again. Signals strong here. Coming from underground. They found a broken staircase and climbed down carefully. The deeper they went, the stranger it felt. The air got colder, the silence thicker. Reyna's heart beat faster. Something wasn't right. Then they found it. A room with a strange control panel. On the floor, bones. Human bones, broken helmets, torn flags. Reyna knelt down and picked up a dirty piece of cloth. It was an old Earth flag. The symbol was faded, but still clear. The flag had a name stitched into it. She read it out loud. Elias. Serena gasped. That name, it's on the lost colony list. A ship called Hopebringer disappeared 200 years ago. They were never found. Karim stared at the bones. You think this is one of them? Reyna stood up slowly. Not just one of them. I think the whole ship crashed here. And they tried to survive. A sound came from the wall. A soft peep. The control panel flickered. A voice played again. Clearer now. Help. We're still here. Suddenly, lights on the wall turned on. Doors opened around them. A new hallway appeared, one they hadn't seen before. It looked newer, cleaner, like someone had been using it. Reyna raised her weapon. Stay close. We're going in. They walked slowly through the hallway. The lights followed them, turning on one by one as they moved. It was quiet, too quiet. Then, at the end of the hall, they saw something that made them freeze. A cryopod, still working. And inside, a man, sleeping, alive. Serena ran to the controls. He's alive. He's been frozen for a long time, but his vitals are stable. Reyna looked through the glass. The man had a scar on his cheek and white hair. His suit was old Earth design, just like the Hopebringers. She whispered, "We found them." As Serena began the wake-up process, the hallway lights started flickering. A warning siren blared. Karim looked at his scanner. Something's moving outside. Fast. Reyna turned to the door. Her heart pounded. Then, outside the ruin, something screamed. A deep, bone-shaking sound that was not human. Not animal. Something old. Something angry. Jay's voice came through their comms. "Captain, you need to get out now. Something's heading toward you." Reyna looked at the man in the cryopod. His eyes started to open. The signal had been real. Someone had survived. But they weren't alone down here. Something else had woken up too. And it was coming for them. The cryopod door opened with a soft hiss. Cold air rushed out as the man inside took a deep breath and coughed. His body shook from the sudden warmth. His eyes opened slowly, blinking at the lights above. He looked confused, weak, but alive. Captain Reyna stepped forward. "It's okay. You're safe. You're with us now. I'm Captain Reyna from Earth." The man stared at her. Then he spoke in a dry, tired voice. "Earth, you came." Serena moved closer. "What's your name?" He sat up with help, groaning in pain. "Elias. Commander Elias Ward. Earth colonization ship. Hopebringer." "How long?" Serena glanced at her scanner. "Your ship went missing almost 200 years ago." Elias looked down, silent for a moment. His hands shook. "So we were forgotten." Reyna placed a hand on his shoulder. "No, we found you. That's why we're here." Suddenly, the ground shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. A deep growl echoed through the tunnels. Elias froze, his eyes wide with fear. "It's still here, isn't it?" he whispered. Reyna looked at him. "What is?" Elias grabbed her arm. "The thing that hunts the living. We called it the Dark One. It waits, watches, kills. We didn't crash here. We were dragged down. Kareem's voice broke in on the radio. Captain, something's moving in the ruins above you. It's fast. And big. Reyna helped Elias to his feet. We need to move. Where's the others? Were there more survivors? Elias pointed down a dark hall. We built a base deeper in the ruins. Some tried to escape. Some didn't make it. Reyna gave the order. Let's go. Everyone, weapons ready. Stay alert. They moved deeper into the underground tunnels. The air grew colder. The lights were weaker here. Strange symbols covered the walls. Not human, not from any known alien language. Some were carved deep, almost like something had clawed them into the stone. Elias limped as he walked. We tried everything. We had weapons, shields. Nothing worked. It learns. Every time we attacked it, it got smarter, faster. It uses fear. It feeds on it. Serena asked, "What is it?" "An animal. A machine." Elias shook his head. "I don't know. It came from the stars. We first saw it near the mountains. It looked like a shadow. Then it killed half my crew in one night." They reached a large metal door. Elias tapped a hidden panel, and it opened slowly. Inside was a small room with old Earth tech, a few bunks, old food packs, a working screen with old data logs. "This was our safe room," Elias said. "We stayed here for weeks, until it found us." Jay's voice came again on the radio. "Captain, I'm picking up motion around the shuttle. Something's circling it. I can't see it clearly. It's cloaked." Reyna cursed under her breath. "We need to leave this place before it traps us." Elias turned to her, his face pale. "You don't understand. That's what it wants. It sends the signal to bring people here. That's how it hunts." Serena stepped back. "Wait, you mean the distress signal was a trap?" Elias nodded slowly. "Yes, I sent a message long ago, but that thing, it changed it. It copied my voice. It wanted someone to come. It needed a way to escape this planet." Reyna felt a cold chill in her chest. "Then why now? Why wait 200 years?" "Because," Elias whispered, "our ship's systems were dying. The last energy in the station just came back on when you landed. That's when it woke again." Outside, the deep growl returned. It was closer now. The walls seemed to shake with every sound. Reyna turned to her team. "We need to get back to the shuttle. Fast." Kareem moved toward the door to scout ahead. He peeked into the hallway, then held up a fist, the signal to stop. He whispered, "Something's in the hall." Everyone froze. Reyna slowly approached. She looked around the corner. The hallway lights flickered, and in the flashing light, a shadow moved across the far wall. No shape, no face, just darkness that slid like liquid. Then, silence. Reyna gave a quiet hand signal. "Go, now." They moved carefully, weapons raised. Every footstep echoed too loud. The hallway stretched longer than before. It felt like the shadows were watching. Suddenly, a scream. Reyna turned just in time to see Private Chen get pulled into the dark by something fast. His scream stopped too quickly. When they reached the spot, only his helmet was left, crushed flat. Elias fell to his knees. "It's hunting again." Reyna forced herself to stay calm. "We keep moving. Stick together." They reached the ruins near the surface. The storm above had grown worse. Lightning flashed across the sky. The shuttle was visible in the distance, but something moved near it. A tall black shape, hard to see, like it wasn't really there. Jay's voice came through, filled with fear. "Captain, it's right outside the shuttle. I can't leave or it'll tear me apart." Kareem aimed his weapon. "We can draw it away. Maybe distract it long enough to get everyone aboard." Elias shook his head. "You can't fight it like that. It becomes your fear. It knows what scares you. That's how it finds you. Reyna took a deep breath. Then we need a new plan. Suddenly, the creature's voice echoed through the radio. It spoke in her voice. Help me. I'm scared. Come to me. Reyna froze. Everyone did. Serena whispered, It's copying you. The voice changed. Now it sounded like Elias. It's safe here. Trust me. Come inside. Reyna turned off the comms. No more signals. We moved by light and line of sight only. They lit up their suits and formed a tight circle. As they moved toward the shuttle, the fog around them thickened. Something moved within it, fast, soundless. Kareem screamed, It's here. They fired in all directions, but their bullets hit nothing. The fog swallowed the noise. Suddenly, the creature appeared, tall, shifting, like black smoke. It had no eyes, no face, only a wide, grinning mouth that opened wider than a human's. Then it vanished. The team ran. Reyna held on to Elias, dragging him toward the shuttle. Jay opened the ramp. Hurry. One by one, they jumped inside. The ramp closed just as something slammed into the hull. The shuttle shook, lights flickering. Systems went down, then came back. Jay pushed the engines to full. We're getting out of here. As the shuttle lifted, the storm tried to pull them back. But Jay fought it, pulling the ship through the clouds. Inside, Elias sat in the corner, shaking. You don't understand. It can't be killed. You can't escape it forever. Reyna leaned against the wall, catching her breath. Then we find a way. We're not giving up. Outside the window, lightning flashed one last time. And in that brief second, the crew saw it. The creature, standing on the ruins, staring up at them. Watching. Waiting. The shuttle flew through the thick clouds, shaking as it climbed higher. Everyone was quiet. Even the sound of the engines felt distant. Captain Reyna kept her eyes on the dark window. Her thoughts raced. They had survived the surface of Neroth, but only barely. Private Chen was gone. The creature had attacked fast, without warning, and left no trace. Elias, the only known survivor of the lost colony ship Hopebringer, sat quietly with his head down, his body trembling. Jay piloted the shuttle with steady hands, but his face was pale. We're almost clear of the storm. I'll dock us back to the main ship in 2 minutes. Reyna nodded. Good. Once we're back, lock everything. No outside signals. No open doors. Kareem looked at her. You think it'll follow us? Serena answered before she could. It's not about if. It's how. Reyna looked at Elias. You said it learns. You said it uses fear. Elias nodded slowly. It doesn't just hunt. It waits. Watches. It gets inside. Not just ships. Minds too. Reyna frowned. What do you mean, minds? He looked at her with haunted eyes. It talks to you. In your voice. In the voices of the people you lost. It makes you see things. Doubt yourself. That's how it wins. You stop trusting what's real. The shuttle connected to the Star Hunter. The docking clamps locked, and the doors opened. The crew moved quickly back into the main ship. As the airlock sealed, Reyna gave a sharp order. Full lockdown. No one goes near the landing bay. Double security. Full scan for anything we brought back. Serena led Elias to the med bay. She scanned him for infection or damage. His body was weak, but stable. No signs of sickness, but his brain showed strange readings, patterns that didn't make sense. She whispered to herself, almost like interference. In the control room, Reyna watched the planet spin slowly below them. Neroth looked quiet now, peaceful, but she knew better. That thing, the shadow, was still down there, or maybe not. Kareem stood beside her. We should destroy the ruins. Fire everything we have. Just wipe it off the map. Reyna shook her head. And what if that's what it wants? What if we hit it and it follows us back to Earth? He looked at her, surprised. You think it's that smart? She answered quietly. I think it's older than anything we've ever seen. That night, the ship went silent. The lights dimmed to night mode. Most of the crew returned to their quarters to rest. But no one really slept. They had seen too much, felt too much. Some were haunted by Private Chen's scream. Others couldn't forget the face of the thing in the fog. Reyna walked the empty hallway alone, checking doors, listening for strange sounds. Her steps echoed off the metal walls. She passed by a mirror and stopped. For a moment, she thought she saw someone behind her. She turned. No one. She stared at the reflection, then blinked. This time, her reflection smiled at her. But she wasn't smiling. Reyna stepped back quickly, her heart racing. The mirror now looked normal again. She ran her hand over her face, breathing fast. No, she whispered. Not real. But something deep inside her whispered back. It's already here. In the medbay, Elias sat up in bed. Serena had left for a moment to get more supplies. The lights flickered softly. Then the monitor beside him turned on. A face appeared. A woman. He gasped. Anna. It was her. His wife. She had died on Nereth years ago, but here she was, smiling at him, her eyes full of tears. Elias, she said softly, why did you leave me? His hands shook. No, you're not real. You died. She reached toward the screen. I'm still here. I've always been here. Come back to me. He screamed. Serena ran back into the room. Dropping the datapad in her hands, she rushed to his side. What happened? Elias grabbed her by the arm. It's inside the ship. It's here. All around the ship, things started to change. Lights flickered. Doors opened and closed by themselves. The sound system played soft whispers, voices of dead people, old friends, childhood memories. Jay was in the engine room when he heard someone call his name. A voice he hadn't heard in 10 years, his little brother, who had died in an accident. He froze. Sam. The voice answered. Why did you let me die? Jay turned and saw a small shadow standing in the corner. He dropped his tools and ran. Reyna called an emergency meeting. The team gathered in the control room. All of them looked shaken, pale, eyes red, hands trembling. She looked around. We've brought something aboard, something that can hide in our minds. It uses fear, memory, guilt. Kareem stepped forward. It's not just showing us things. It's breaking us down, one by one. Serena added, it's like a virus, but not made of code or cells, more like thought. Elias looked at them. There's one way to stop it. You have to break the link, the thing that connects it to you, the fear it's using. You have to fight it, or it will take you completely. Reyna asked, how did you survive this long? I didn't, he said. Most of me died a long time ago. The lights went out. The ship dropped into darkness. An alarm screamed. Red lights flashed. Power systems failed one by one. Then the main screen turned on. The creature stood in the ruins again. Its face now had eyes. Human eyes. Chen's eyes. Its mouth smiled. Then it spoke, in Reyna's voice. Captain, you left me behind. Reyna turned off the screen. Her voice was calm, but her fists were clenched. We end this now. She gave the order. Everyone to the AI core. That's where it's focused. That's the brain of the ship, and where it's hiding. They moved fast. Weapons raised. Lights on full. But the ship had changed. The walls were covered in black slime. The floor was sticky. Whispers came from the vents. The air was cold like ice. When they reached the AI core, the door was sealed. They forced it open with a power tool. Inside, they saw the truth. The AI unit was still online, but the screen showed a strange, moving shape, dark, twisting, with flashes of faces and eyes inside it. The creature had merged with the AI. Reyna stared at it. You're not just in our minds anymore. The shadow laughed. You opened the door. I just walked in. It sent out a pulse, a wave of pure emotion. Fear, guilt, regret. Serena fell to her knees. Kareem dropped his weapon. Jay backed into the wall, screaming. But Reyna stood tall. She remembered her training, her pain, her mission. She stepped forward and shouted, "You don't control me." The creature paused, surprised. Reyna pulled the emergency kill switch from her belt, a device that could wipe the AI core in seconds. But doing so would shut down most of the ship's systems: life support, navigation, defense. Elias shouted, "Captain, if you do that, the ship will be helpless." Reyna's hand hovered over the switch. She looked at the creature. "I'd rather die as a human than live as your puppet." She hit the switch. The lights exploded in brightness. The ship shook. The AI core screamed, not with code, but with a living sound, like a dying god. Then, silence. The power dropped. The lights went out. Only backup lights stayed on, glowing faintly. Reyna fell to the floor, breathing hard. Then, a voice in the dark. "Serena, it's gone." No more whispers. No more faces. The shadow had vanished. But the cost had just begun. The ship was silent. The alarms had stopped, and the backup lights flickered in the control room. The crew stood still, shaken by what had just happened. Reyna, her heart pounding, still kneeled on the cold floor, breathing heavily. For a long moment, no one spoke. Finally, Serena broke the silence. "Is it gone?" Reyna slowly stood up, her legs weak, her eyes still scanning the shadows of the AI core. "I don't know, but we can't take any chances. We need to act fast." Kareem looked at the shut-down core. "If it's still alive, it'll come back. It doesn't need the AI to control us. It can survive in anything." Jay ran a hand through his hair. "We thought we'd destroyed it. We didn't. It's like it's in our heads. Like it's a part of us now." Elias, who had been silent in the corner, suddenly spoke. "It's not just a part of you. It's inside you. It feeds on your fears, your doubts. Every one of you is connected to it now." Reyna turned to face him. "You knew. You knew this could happen." Elias's face was pale. "I didn't have a choice. It was already in my crew. In my mind. I tried to fight it, but it's too powerful. It manipulates everything. Your memories, your fears. It grows with every person it touches." "Then how did you survive?" Kareem asked, his voice sharp. Elias's voice was barely a whisper. "I didn't. I died a long time ago. It kept me alive. Kept me talking. But I never escaped. It's what it does. It breaks you down until you're nothing." The team looked at each other, unsure of how to respond. Reyna took a deep breath. "We have to stop it before it gets any worse. If we don't, it will destroy us all." Serena nodded. "We can't let it reach Earth. We can't let it leave this ship. If it escapes, we'll have no chance." Jay grimaced. "How do we even fight something like this? It knows everything. It's in our minds." Reyna clenched her fists. "We fight it like it's a virus. We cut off its connection to us. We isolate ourselves from the ship's systems. No signals, no transmissions, no link to the outside world." Kareem frowned. "And how exactly do we do that without getting killed?" Reyna looked at the AI core again. "We start by making sure it can't control the ship anymore. We'll cut off its power supply, disable every system it might use to track us." "Then what?" Serena asked. Reyna's eyes were cold. "Then we burn it. We make sure nothing from this ship ever reaches Earth. We can't risk it. Earth must never know what happened here." Elias stepped forward, his face still ashen. "You're making a mistake. You don't understand what you're dealing with. You can't just destroy it. You can't kill what isn't alive." Reyna shook her head. We'll find a way." They all moved quickly, following Reyna's lead. The next few hours were a blur of activity, rushing through corridors, locking down every access point, shutting down systems. The air was thick with tension. Every sound seemed louder than it should have been. Every shadow felt like it could be hiding something. Reyna, Kareem, and Serena worked together to cut off the eye's power source, while Jay monitored the ship's systems to make sure nothing was transmitting. Elias stayed behind, pacing, his eyes darting around, still haunted by the thing inside his mind. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Reyna stood before the main power core. The lights flickered again, and a low, humming noise filled the air. "It's not going to stop, is it?" Kareem said, his voice tense. Reyna glanced at him. "No, but neither are we." With a heavy heart, Reyna pressed the button that would cut off the ship's connection to the outside. It was a desperate move, but there was no other choice. They had to make sure nothing could escape. The ship's systems shut down one by one. The lights went out. The hum of power died. And then, nothing. Complete silence. For a moment, Reyna thought it might be over, that they had done it. But then she heard a whisper, faint at first, but growing louder. "Reyna." She froze. The voice was familiar. It was hers. "Reyna." She whipped around, but there was no one behind her. Only the cold, empty walls of the ship. "No," she whispered. "Not now. Not here." But the voice didn't stop. It echoed through her mind, filling every corner of her thoughts. "Reyna, come to me. I'm waiting for you. I'm still here." She clutched her head, trying to block it out. It was the same voice she had heard on Neroth. The same voice that had haunted Elias. She heard footsteps. Slow, deliberate. "Reyna." She turned, heart racing, and saw a figure standing in the doorway. It was her, or rather, it looked like her. Her reflection, but wrong. The eyes were darker. The smile twisted. "No," Reyna said, backing away. "You're not real." The figure stepped forward, speaking in her own voice. "But I am. You invited me in. You brought me aboard. You wanted to escape. But I'm in your blood now. I will always be with you." Reyna reached for her weapon, but her hands were shaking. The figure took another step, and her reflection seemed to multiply, filling the walls. "No," Reyna screamed. "Leave me alone." But the figure only smiled. "You can't escape me. You never will." The lights flickered again. The whispers grew louder. The voices of everyone the creature had consumed echoed in Reyna's mind. She heard Elias. She heard the crew. And she heard herself. Reyna fell to her knees. She closed her eyes, trying to shut out the noise, trying to force herself to think. But it was too late. The creature had won. The ship was dead silent now, but the whispers never stopped. They echoed through Reyna's mind, louder than ever. Every voice, every memory, every shadow, all were connected to the creature that had invaded their thoughts. The entity had merged with them, twisted their minds, and now it controlled their every fear, every doubt. Reyna stood there, trembling, as her reflection, her twisted, distorted self, smiled back at her. It stepped forward, each movement slow and deliberate, like it was savoring every second. "You can't escape me, Reyna," it whispered, its voice soft, hypnotic. "I am inside you. You invited me here." She shook her head, her breath shallow. "No, I won't let you win. I won't." The twisted reflection tilted its head, still smiling. "You already lost. You're already mine. I know every part of you. I am every fear you've ever had, every regret, every doubt. You cannot fight me." Reyna's hands clenched into fists, and she gritted her teeth. "You're wrong. You're not in control. Not yet." With shaking fingers, she reached for the emergency kill switch on her belt, the one she had hoped would be enough to stop the creature. the one she had never thought she'd need to use again. But before she could activate it, the voice in her head, her own voice, spoke again. "Reyna, do you really think you can destroy me? Do you really think you can fight yourself?" Her heart raced as the ship shook again, this time more violently than before. The walls creaked. The air grew thick with tension. And then she heard it. A voice. A real voice. "Captain." She snapped out of her trance and turned toward the sound. Serena, Kareem, and Jay stood at the far end of the hallway, their faces pale but determined. "We're with you," Serena said, her voice strong. "We don't know if we can defeat it, but we'll fight. Together." Reyna's mind raced. She wanted to believe them. She wanted to believe they had a chance, but she knew how dangerous this creature was. It was feeding off their weaknesses, and it was strong. Still, there was no time to waste. The longer they hesitated, the more the creature would grow. The more it would break them apart. "We need to get to the main reactor," Reyna said, her voice steady, though her body trembled with fear. "If we can overload the core, it will destroy the ship and everything inside it." Kareem looked at her with wide eyes. "Are you sure? If we do that, we'll never make it out. We'll die, Reyna. All of us." "Better to die trying than let this thing escape," she replied firmly. They all nodded, understanding the urgency. They turned and ran, their footsteps echoing through the silent halls of the ship. The air was thick with unease, and every shadow seemed to move as if it had a life of its own. The creature wasn't finished. It had only begun. As they ran, the walls seemed to close in on them. The temperature dropped. The whispers grew louder, more intense. Each member of the crew could hear their own voice in the chaos, twisting, mocking, reminding them of their darkest moments. Serena's voice was the first to break the silence. "Reyna, this is real, isn't it? It's happening. We're all going to die." "No," Reyna said, her voice fierce. "We fight. We choose to fight." They reached the reactor room. The heavy door slid open with a low groan. Inside, the reactor core pulsed with raw energy, glowing bright in the darkness. But as they entered, the shadows in the room shifted. The air grew heavier. And then it spoke. "You think you can stop me?" The voice echoed, surrounding them. "I've been here from the start. From the moment you came aboard. From the moment you stepped foot on this ship." Reyna felt the weight of its words in her chest. It was everywhere now. Inside them, inside their thoughts, their hearts. "You're wrong," she said, her voice shaking but steady. "We control our own fates, not you." The creature's laugh echoed, deep and unsettling. "You cannot escape me. I have always been inside you." Serena stepped forward, fear in her eyes, but determination in her posture. "We're not alone anymore. We have each other. And that's more than you can ever take from us." With a sharp movement, Reyna activated the emergency system to overload the reactor. She felt it deep inside her, the weight of the decision, the finality of it. The power surged as the reactor began to overheat, flashing red lights warning them of the imminent explosion. The creature screamed, a sound that rattled their bones, filling the room with agony. "No," it howled. "You can't. You." But before it could finish, the ship's alarms blared, the walls shook violently, and the ship's core began to destabilize. The lights flickered, then went dark. The only sound was the roaring of the reactor as it reached its breaking point. Reyna, Serena, Kareem, and Jay rushed out of the reactor room, running down the corridor toward the escape pods. They didn't look back. The ship groaned and shook again, this time with such force that the walls cracked and the floors buckled. They stumbled, but they kept running. They had no choice. As they reached the escape pods, Reyna pressed the release button, and the doors slammed shut behind them. The pod launched into space, just as the Star Hunter exploded in a brilliant, blinding light. The creature's scream was cut off. Silence. For a long moment, no one spoke. No one moved. They had done it. They had stopped it. The creature, the shadow that had haunted them, was gone. Destroyed. But at what cost? Reyna stared out the small window, watching as the remains of the Star Hunter drifted into the emptiness of space. Her mind was filled with a deep sadness, but also a strange sense of peace. They had survived. They had won. But the price of victory had been high. "We're the last ones," Kareem said quietly. "It's over. We're all that's left." Reyna looked at her crew, her friends, the people who had stood by her. They were broken, but they were alive. And for the first time in a long while, she let herself believe they would be okay. They had survived the terror and the shadows. But what awaited them in the vast, empty silence of space, no one could say.